Once, in a nursery filled with toys, there lived a little Velveteen Rabbit. He was plump and soft, with brown and white spotted fur. His ears were lined with pink sateen, and his whiskers were real thread. On Christmas morning, he sat in the boy's stocking, nestled among oranges and nuts, waiting to be discovered. At first, the rabbit was splendid. The boy loved him for at least 2 hours. But then came the mechanical toys, worrying and buzzing, and the rabbit was forgotten. The nursery was full of wonderful toys, wind-up mice that ran across the floor, a model boat that really sailed, and mechanical toys that thought themselves very important because they were modern and expensive. They looked down on the simple Velveteen Rabbit, who was just stuffed with sawdust and couldn't do anything clever at all. But there was one toy who was kind to the rabbit, the Skin Horse. The Skin Horse was old and wise. He had lived in the nursery longer than any of the other toys. His brown coat was worn and balding in patches, and most of his tail had come off over the years. But he understood about nursery magic, which the newer toys did not. One evening, when the boy was asleep, the rabbit crept close to the Skin Horse. "What is real?" asked the rabbit. "Does it mean having things that buzz inside you and a stick-out handle?" "Real isn't how you are made," said the Skin Horse gently. "It's a thing that happens to you. When a child loves you for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real." "Does it hurt?" asked the rabbit. "Sometimes," for he was always truthful, "but when you are real, you don't mind being hurt." "Does it happen all at once, like being wound up, or bit by bit?" "It doesn't happen all at once," said the Skin Horse. "You become. It takes a long time. That's why it doesn't often happen to toys who break easily, or have sharp edges, or who have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your fur has been loved off, and your eyes drop out, and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly except to people who don't understand." "I suppose you are real," said the rabbit, looking at the Skin Horse's worn coat. The Skin Horse only smiled. He had been real so long, he knew it was true. The rabbit longed to become real. He didn't know it would take so long, or that it would hurt. He only knew he wanted it very much. Spring came, and with it, everything changed. There was a person called Nana who ruled the nursery. She decided which toys the boy would play with each day. Sometimes, for no reason he could discover, she would take one toy and put it away in a cupboard for weeks. But one night, when the boy was going to bed, Nana couldn't find the china dog that always slept with him. "Find me something else to sleep with," said the boy. Nana rummaged in the toy cupboard, and her hand fell upon the Velveteen Rabbit. "Here," she said, "take your old rabbit. He'll do." That night, and for many nights after, the rabbit slept in the boy's bed, snuggled close under his warm chin. At first, it felt strange, being squashed and sometimes rolled over in the night, but he didn't mind, because the boy would talk to him and make nice tunnels for him under the bedclothes. The rabbit was happy. Weeks turned to months, and the rabbit became the boy's constant companion. Wherever the boy went, the rabbit went too. He rode in the wheelbarrow to the garden. He had picnics in the raspberry canes. Once he got lost in the tall grass for hours until the boy found him crying with worry. The boy would whisper secrets into the rabbit's long ears. He told him about his dreams, his fears, and everything that mattered. The rabbit listened to it all. Gradually, the rabbit was growing shabbier. His pink sateen ears were getting faded and limp from being carried about so much. The brown spots on his fur weren't as bright. His tail was coming loose, but the boy loved him just the same. In fact, he loved him even more. He wouldn't go anywhere without his rabbit. "He's
I
real,"
won't
the
go
boy would
anywhere
say,
without my
and
rabbit.
Nana would
He's
smile.
my best friend.
The mechanical toys looked at the shabby rabbit and whispered that he wasn't real at all, but the rabbit didn't care what they thought anymore. One summer evening, the boy carried the rabbit out into the garden to play. Near the raspberry canes, two strange rabbits appeared. They were furry like the Velveteen Rabbit, but their coats were soft and shiny, and they moved in quick, jerky hops. Their noses twitched constantly, and their ears turned toward every sound. They stared at the Velveteen Rabbit. "Why don't you come and play with us?" asked one of them. They danced and leaped, showing how they could hop and run. "I don't want to," said the Velveteen Rabbit. He didn't want them to see that he couldn't move on his own. His legs were sewn on, filled with sawdust. "Can you hop like this?" asked one of the wild rabbits, jumping high into the air. The Velveteen Rabbit sat very still. He had no joints in his legs. He couldn't hop at all. The wild rabbits came closer, sniffing. "He doesn't smell right," whispered one. "He's not a real rabbit at all." Then they turned and bounded away into the forest, their white tails flashing. The boy came running and scooped up his rabbit. "Of course you're real," the boy said, hugging him tight. "You're my rabbit." The Velveteen Rabbit felt confused. The Skin Horse had said that when you are loved, you become real. The boy loved him more than any of the other toys. The boy had even said he was real. But those wild rabbits had said he wasn't real at all. Which was true? For a long time he thought about it. On warm summer nights, nestled close to the boy, he wondered, what is real? Is it how you're made? Is it what you can do? Or is it something else entirely? The Skin Horse had said, real is what happens when a child loves you, not just to play with, but really loves you. The boy loved him. The boy had said he was real. That had got to be enough. The rabbit decided he was real. Not like the wild rabbits were real, but real in his own way. Real because he was loved. Summer ended and autumn came with golden leaves and cool winds. Then one day the boy became ill. Very, very ill. The doctor came with his black bag. He spoke in serious, hushed tones. Nana stayed up all night, keeping watch, changing cool cloths on the boy's forehead. Through it all, the Velveteen Rabbit lay beside the boy in the bed, listening to his labored breathing, wishing he could help. "Scarlet fever," the doctor said. "The boy will recover, but we must be careful, very careful." For weeks, the boy lay in bed, hot with fever, tossing and turning. The rabbit stayed close, as he always had. Sometimes the boy would reach out in his sleep and hold the rabbit tight. The rabbit was glad he could be there, even if he couldn't do anything else to help. Slowly, slowly, the boy began to get better. The fever broke. Color returned to his cheeks. He began to smile again. The rabbit was so happy. His boy was going to be well. But then came the terrible day. The doctor returned and spoke to Nana in the hallway. The Velveteen Rabbit, lying on the bed, could hear every word. All the toys the boy played with during his illness must be destroyed. They may carry the fever. They must be burned immediately. Burned? Nana came into the room and began gathering things. She picked up the Velveteen Rabbit. "Wait!" the boy cried weakly from his bed. "Not my rabbit!" But Nana was firm. "The doctor's orders," she said gently. "We'll get you a new rabbit, a beautiful one." "I don't want a new one," the boy said, tears running down his thin cheeks. "I want my rabbit." But Nana carried the rabbit away. She brought him outside and dropped him in a sack with other toys and the boy's old bed sheets. The sack was left at the bottom of the garden, waiting to be burned the next morning. That night, the Velveteen Rabbit lay in the sack at the bottom of the garden, alone and afraid. He thought about the boy crying for him. He thought about all their adventures together, the garden picnics, the whispered secrets, the warm nights snuggled close. He thought about the skin horse's words, "Once you are real, you can never become unreal again. It lasts for always." A tear rolled down the Velveteen Rabbit's worn, shabby face. It was a real tear, made of real sadness. The tear dropped onto the ground, and where the tear fell, something magical happened. A flower began to grow, not an ordinary flower, but a mysterious, beautiful flower, unlike any that grew in the garden. From the flower's center, a figure appeared. She was lovely and radiant, dressed in petals and morning dew. It was the Nursery Magic fairy who takes care of toys that children have loved and finished with. "Little rabbit," said the fairy softly, "don't cry." "But I want to stay with the boy. He loves me. I'm real to him." "You are real," said the fairy. "The boy's love made you real. You were real to him because he loved you. Now I will make you real to everyone." She picked up the Velveteen Rabbit and held him close. "When toys are old and worn and have been loved very much, I give them a special gift. Because you have been real to the boy, I will make you real to all the world." She kissed the rabbit gently on his velvet nose. A strange, tingling feeling spread through the rabbit's body. His stiff, sawdust-filled legs began to move on their own. He could feel muscles where there had only been stuffing. His paws, once sewn-on pieces of fabric, became real paws with soft pads. His whiskers, which had been thread, became sensitive and alive. His nose began to twitch. His ears, which had hung limp, stood up straight and alert, turning to catch every sound. His worn velveteen coat became real fur, soft, thick, and shiny. His body, which had been plump and round, became lean and strong. The fairy set him down gently on the grass. For the first time in his life, the rabbit felt the ground beneath real feet. He took a tentative hop, then another and another. He could move, he could run, he could hop high into the air. "Go and play, little rabbit," the fairy said, smiling. "You are real now. You will live in the forest with the other rabbits. You are one of them now." Then she vanished, leaving only the mysterious flowers swaying in the breeze. The rabbit bounded across the grass toward the forest edge. 2 rabbits appeared, the same wild rabbits who had visited the garden months ago. But this time, when they sniffed him, they didn't turn away. "Come and play," they said, and off they went, hopping and leaping through the moonlit grass. The rabbit ran with them. He discovered he could hop higher than he'd ever imagined. He could race across the meadow, his powerful hind legs propelling him forward. He could twist and turn in midair, just like the other rabbits. He ran through the cool grass and felt the wind in his ears. He smelled the forest, pine needles, earth, and rain. He heard the night sounds, owls hooting, mice rustling, the creek babbling. Everything was new and wonderful. He played with the wild rabbits until dawn began to lighten the sky, and he discovered what it meant to be real, really, truly real. Days passed in his new life. The rabbit learned to dig burrows, to find the sweetest clover, to sense danger and run to safety. But he never forgot the boy. One morning, when the autumn sun was warm and golden, the rabbit hopped to the edge of the forest near the garden where he used to play. The boy was there, running and laughing. He looked healthy and strong again, his cheeks pink, his eyes bright. He was playing with a new toy, a beautiful store-bought rabbit with glass eyes and a red ribbon. The boy looked happy. For a moment, the rabbit felt a pang in his heart, but then he understood. The boy would always remember him. Even if the boy didn't know that the wild rabbit at the edge of the forest was his old friend, the love they had shared would last forever. Once you are real, the Skin Horse had said, you can't become unreal again. It lasts for always. The boy had made him real through love. That could never be taken away. The rabbit took one long look at his boy, memorizing the sound of his laughter. Then he turned and hopped back into the forest where his new friends were waiting. And so the Velveteen Rabbit lived happily in the forest, free and real. Sometimes on warm summer evenings, he would hop to the edge of the garden and watch the boy grow bigger year by year. He saw him grow into a young man, then a father, bringing his own children to play in that same garden. And the rabbit understood something important. Love doesn't end just because we're apart. The boy had made him real, and he had made the boy happy. That gift lasted forever, even after they said goodbye. Being real doesn't mean being perfect. It means being loved. Being real means that someone somewhere loved you so much that you changed. You became more than you were before. You became real. And once you are real, you can never become unreal again. It lasts for always. Sweet dreams, little ones. Remember, you are real when you are loved. And you are very, very loved. Good night.